News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Insanely wild times. We'll get to Kamala saying that Tim Walz is her VP candidate in a little bit. But right now, an attempted assassination plot, I should say, on President Trump and some other high-value targets has come out today. Fox News, the first one to get it across their radar, but now KHU, the sister station of WFAA-TV here in Dallas, who we have a partnership with, KHU-TV reports that the Pakistani alleged agent, the Pakistani alleged agent of the Iranian government that was working, he flew into Houston, and he was working out of Houston, and in fact, then he was just arrested in Houston a few weeks ago. He has ties to the Iranian government. Investigated weeks before a gunman tried to kill this. He was being investigated weeks before a gunman tried to kill Trump at a Pennsylvania rally campaign. Remember that white kid from Pennsylvania that almost killed the president of the United States of America, the former president, Donald J. Trump. Remember that he has several foreign accounts that are encrypted that as of yet, I don't believe have been broken yet. And was the Iranian government contacting him as one of its plans? It's possible. That was asked by Fox News openly about a week or two ago. So this is not anything new, but this is new. Pakistani man arrested weeks before the gunman tried to kill Trump. He's a 46-year-old man from Pakistan that traveled to New York City, worked with a hitman to carry out the assassinations listen to the timing, late August, early September, intended to high-target ranking U.S. officials, including potentially Trump. Working on behalf of other overseas, the man said he planned the murder of U.S. government officials on American soil. Actually, the U.S. attorney says that. Working with others overseas. The plan was hatched on American soil. Arrested July 12th. This was the efforts of both the New York and Houston and Dallas offices. This plot included, reportedly, 25 men to be hired, and they could perform a protest as a distraction after a murder occurred, and a woman would do reconnaissance on the payroll. He said he contacted somebody, U.S. prosecutors say he contacted somebody he believed would help him when he arrived in New York City, but the person contacted the FBI and began working for the agency as a confidential source. He allegedly told the people, quote, who will be targeted are the ones who are hurting Pakistan and the world, the Muslim world. These are not normal people, he said. He wanted to do three things, the authorities say: steal documents or USB drives from one victim's home, plan protests at political rallies, and carry out assassinations. At one meeting, he allegedly told the source that the work was not a one-time opportunity and allegedly made a finger gun motion with his hand. They also said he was working while planning for several different scenarios. They also note in this article from Fox News that in 2022, the Iranians also hired a member of one of their IRCG, Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they offered to pay somebody through the IRCG $300,000 to kill former national security advisor under Trump, John Bolton. Also had plans to kill former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who may indeed be the Secretary of State again under Trump, should he win president. And so my questions are this: why would the Iranians? And here's brand new, by the way. According to CBS News, alleged targets included Trump, former President Trump. The FBI Houston spokesperson confirms the arrest of this man in the Houston area last month. So part of the plot was to assassinate Donald J. Trump. Is it possible that the Iranian government is literally trying to murder Trump and timing it in August or September so that it's too late, too close to the elections to plug somebody in that could actually win and would remove the Republican ticket from being able to win versus the Democrats, so they would not have to face Judgment Day by the Republican, by President Trump in particular, who's not afraid to take out some of their top leaders, as he did with Soleimani? Is it possible that the white boy, as it were, from Pennsylvania was paid to do that as one of the agents? We don't know. It's still being investigated. It's not off the table. But why was the timing so interesting to me? The time's interesting to me because it's right before the election. It's not earlier in the summer or later in the spring or earlier than that. It's right before the election. And nobody put the genital cuffs. I said the genital cuffs. Nobody put the genital cuffs on Iran more than Trump did. My questions for you also, and by the way, Joe Biden has been insane. I will explain how insanely wonderful he's been for the Iranian mullahs and the terrorist regime of Iran. He also, Kamala would be even more of a dream, the man's version of the dream that takes place, and he has an issue in the bedroom after he has that kind of a dream. That is what she is for them. She's the next step, not because of who she is, but because of her policies. Here's my questions for you at 800-288-WBAP. Lines wide open right now. Why do you think Iran is trying to kill President Trump? Why do you think Iran is trying to kill President Trump? And I don't just think it's from the assassination of General Qasem Soleimani. I think it's because he's a threat to their existence, and I do not exaggerate. Wait till you hear what I have to tell you about Israel and what they're going to do, what the former prime minister said today on Fox News. So, number one, why do you think Iran is trying to kill President Trump? What do you think about the timing of the assassination attempt? Closer to the election and harder for Republicans to win with the last minute change of the ticket, not rigged like the Democrats, so they're in unison. And who do you think Iran is most afraid of winning November's presidential race? Lines wide open. Chime in right now. We got 3-4 minutes before we go to break, so I want you to call in right now and jump on. Why do you think Iran is trying to kill President Trump? What do you think about the timing of the assassination attempt? And who do you think Iran is most afraid of winning November's presidential election race? I was listening to retired Major General Frank Keane, who was in the Pentagon under Trump, say today, he's now the chairman of the Institute for the Studies of War, and he said today on Fox this afternoon that under Trump, Iran was broke. They had no money to spend. There were 300,000 barrels of oil being pumped a day and sold on the market. Now there is 1.4 million barrels a day. Do the math from 300,000 to 1.4. That's more than 4 times the amount of oil. It gives them at least $4 billion a month. And it has for almost 3.5 years now. $4 billion a month. And the majority of all that money, according to Keane and us, me, and every expert you ask, is going to slaughter Jews. He is arming, the mullahs are arming and training and giving weapons to kill every Jew they can, to wipe Israel off the map, and they're attacking us like never before. The warfare of our naval forces in the Red Sea have seen, according to the guy in charge of the Navy, our current Navy is in a battle that's not been seen since World War II because Joe Biden won't, he didn't say this part, but because they're allowing the Houthis and the other terrorist regimes that funded, trained, and armed by Iran, and at Iran's discretion, they are attacking our Navy at an amazing speed with impunity. The restrictions that Trump had on the Iranian terrorists in Yemen, the Houthis, are gone. Once he was called out for that, after years of us being attacked and the Jews being attacked openly, he then put a partial terrorist watch list, not the one Trump had on it. So Iran is rich. It's flush with cash. The deal that Trump had on them, the genital cuffs have been removed, and no restrictions for 3.5 years in an effort to appease Iran into hoping they go back into the JCPOA, which was that Obama wimpy send $6 billion in cash on a pallet and let you finish making a nuclear bomb, to the point now within 1 to 2 weeks they'll have enough nuclear fissile material, enough enriched uranium material to make a nuclear bomb. And then within a year they're going to have the warhead to deliver it, the missile to deliver it. And Israel said today that the former prime minister of Israel said today that Israel will take out the Iranian regime if this continues, and not the people. They're beautiful people, he said, and that's exactly what I know personally from meeting Iranians in America, that wish nothing but peace, truthful peace, and they're not radical Islamists at all. So they will take out the leadership. They will kill them, and they will destroy anywhere where nuclear materials are before it gets a bomb. And this administration is literally not even walking backwards anymore. It's singing and calling backwards into a war, almost directly asking for a war. And the oil prices have gone up today because of that. People have no idea what Kamala would do and what Joe has done to this whole country. I mean, Kamala's top advisor is now under investigation by the feds for being a pro-Iran agent, if you will. and he's co-written articles, like 6 of them, supporting Iran and being against the United States. Co-authored with a woman who's already been openly investigated, and I believe has lost her security clearance and probably will be charged as being an espionage, if that's a word, for Iran in the Biden administration. You have a war that is about to take place in the Middle East, and it's all because of fecklessness. My question again to you, lines wide open still, 800-288-WBAP. Why do you think Iran's trying to kill President Trump? What do you think about the timing of the assassination attempt, and who do you think Iran's most afraid of winning November's election in the presidential race? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. More details on this arrested Pakistani Iranian agent arrested for trying to murder President Trump and other top officials in a wide plot in New York, Houston, and Dallas to kill the President of the United States and others. Next on the Chris Kroc Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Lines wide open. Why do you think Iran's trying to kill President Trump? What do you think about the timing of the assassination attempt closer to the election, where it would be harder for Republicans to win in the fall if you remove their leader? And the premise of everything with the party is him, and he's going to literally disallow Iran to have 1.4 million barrels of oil pumped. They'll go back down to at least 300,000 a day, which, because you understand, they're doing 3% of the world's oil right now. About 3% of the world's oil is coming out of Iran, and under Trump, you're lucky if it's 0.03. And so when Iran is flush with cash, it does not feed its people. It starves them, it oppresses them, and it beats them and kills them if they're gay or if the women don't want to wear the burqas covering up their face and their whole bodies, etc. It has no problem shooting and killing any protesters and jailing the ones who are running away, or killing those too. There's no issue with that. They use the money to slaughter Jews, and they always say death to Israel and death to America. They're coming for us. They tried to execute President Trump. Now listen, he was arrested. This Pakistani guy was arrested the day before. We just got this in from KHU in Houston. He was arrested the day before the assassination attempt on Trump. I repeat, he was leaving the country when they arrested him at the airport. He literally was arrested for leaving. I'm sorry, he was literally arrested as he was trying to leave the country 1 day before Trump's assassination attempt. Do you understand this? And they're saying, and what they're saying right now is they have nothing to disprove the connection. They have nothing to prove the connection from Iran and their assassination attempt on Trump, or nothing to disprove or prove it. I'm telling you something. This guy, this kid, who the cops, the Secret Service put a freaking bullet in his head and blew up his head like a melon and put him in the ground so he could meet his friend downstairs, who's going to be a slave to for eternity. That SOB has several accounts that are foreign accounts that are encrypted. They still can't get. Iran and this agent that has been arrested of theirs. Was heading back to Pakistan to be with his wife and his kids with a lot of money from Iran. They were trying to kill President Trump. This plot was to kill Trump and other leaders. And right before the day of the attempted execution or assassination of President Trump, he was arrested. Well, since the plan was to take out Trump and have people distracted, people to shoot him and kill him, so far from what we see, he's leaving when the next day the kid's going to pop him. To me, it's even more suspicious that maybe he was part of the plot. But Iran's not going to just try once. They've already tried to kill 2 top Trump officials, and I don't know about other things. So now think about it this way, too. President Trump had no dogs. The Secret Service had no bomb sniffing or ordnance sniffing or, gunpowder sniffing dogs. They had no drones like they usually do. And they had a half the amount of snipers, which is why they had local snipers, 2 local snipers cover in addition. And they left him while they had just put in a guy in jail the day before for trying to kill Trump. Are you figuring this out? Oh my gosh. Am I exaggerating? Isn't this insane? Doesn't this look about as bad as you can get? Holy gosh. Why do you think Iran's trying to kill Trump? What do you think about the timing of the assassination attempt? And who do you think Iran's most afraid of winning in the presidential race? Clearly, it's Trump. He'll kill their leaders. He won't let them get a bomb. He will not negotiate with them. He will not give them any money, and they will not be pumping any more oil. And there would be no tolerance of the American hostages. Remember what he said at the Republican National Convention? He said, you better have those hostages back by the time I'm in, or you're going to pay. And you know what that means by him? He's going to kill people. He's not going to just give them, I'm going to put a little slap on you that the world, that the leftists in America, or the left in America thinks is, he's strong. No. Trump's going to make them really hurt, and they're going to regret it. The only thing they respect is hard power. I'm quoting the former CIA former CIA guy and a former defense official. The only thing that Iran and terrorists and radical Islamists in the Middle East respect is hard power. Hard power. Doesn't mean you have to drop a nuclear weapon on Israel. Doesn't mean Iran. Doesn't mean you have to wipe the Israeli administration on the map. It means you can blow up their refineries, which would stop production, and that would bring them to their knees in a nanosecond. They won't. The Iranians have a spy ship that is coordinating with the Houthis and telling them exactly where to hit. So the dirt-hurting terrorists that they fund and give weapons to, including drones that are in a 9-hour battle with our warships recently, and they've shut the Strait of Hormuz. I'm sorry, the Strait of what's the one there? What's it called? In Egypt, the Suez Canal. They've shut that down for world trade for us and our allies and such. And our Navy and our military is not allowed to kill the people that are bombing and have stopped the world's shipping through the Suez Canal, which was the number one place to go through. And so we can't take out their spy ship, their Iranian unmanned spy ship that is in the Red Sea that we can see right there. We could take it out in a nanosecond. We're not allowed to take it out. They're allowed to kill and kill and kill and attack and obfuscate and help Iran. And they're doing a damn good job because Joe Biden and Kamala are letting him and will let him. All right, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, Kamala picks Minnesota Governor Tim Walz for vice president. You are not going to believe the baggage this guy has. And you know what this tells you about Israel and the Middle East war? The Jews are taking a back seat. Wait till you hear how many Jews are now switching political parties because of this pick right here, at least as far as their vote this fall. You're not going to believe it. I didn't make this crap up. It's in the news. That's next. Okay, you know what's not incredible? I'm telling you something. You know what we feared and Trump feared on this side of the ticket? On this side of the political game? Josh Shapiro. You need to know, look no further than today when he was speaking at the rally for Kekle and Kamala when they announced it was Tim Walz and they had their first rally in Philadelphia. Shapiro made love to the crowd, and the crowd made love to him in return. He owns the crowd. He is an amazing politician, and he is a Jew. And he brings with him 18 votes, if you will, what do you call it? 18 electoral college votes or points, whatever, with him, which is what literally Pennsylvania is insanely critical to both Trump and to Kekle and Kamala. And so she decided to reject a Jew who was one of 3 people that were the finalists, who is literally like 60% approval rating in his state that is critical to win, for a man who has not only has zero recognition, but this man is a super liberal progressive. He says about illegals, here's one of the things he said about illegals with Trump and the wall.
And I think seeing a plan that's out there, talking about it with folks, knowing that he's not going to do anything. He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how you stop this.
He also is for sanctuary. He's a sanctuary state. He made his state a sanctuary state for illegal immigrants. He literally gives illegals taxpayer-funded health care and taxpayer-funded tuition and driver licenses. I mean, you cannot get more rabidly super pro-illegal like Kamala than he is. He also, there's other policies. He's a socialist. Listen.
Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. Just do the damn work.
There you go. Socialism is, neighborliness. So he doesn't shy away from being a socialist or being called one. He said about illegals, quote, "This country owes them a debt of gratitude." Illegals. And he's not Jewish. Did I mention that yet? There's many more things. Let me share what my buddy Eric Erickson wrote about. I want your reaction. How confident are you that President Kamala would defend Israel? Oh, wait, fully again. Wait, no, we'll get into that next. I'm sorry, I got my questions all on a little list here. How do you think Governor Walz affects Kamala's chances of winning in November? How do you think Governor Walz affects Kamala's chances of winning in November? I want to tell you something. Yes, it may not make an effect either way, but you could have won Pennsylvania much, much more likely with Shapiro. And I think some analysis I heard earlier is exactly right. He's too good to waste on a VP pick that probably won't win. They want him as their golden boy in 4 years, and he will be. He will be the threat. How likely is it that that's Kamala chose Walz over Shapiro because he's Jewish? There's a whole Fox News story written about that. In fact, guess what? Trump now has won the New York Jewish vote. The New York Jewish vote has now flipped and gone Trump. Here we go. Trump stakes stunning lead, or takes stunning lead over Harris with surprising group in blue state. Trump now gathers 50% of likely Jewish voters in New freaking York, y'all. He leads Kamala by 1 point. So more Jews, New York Jews, who are going to be the most liberal Jews in the country, if not the world, support Trump over Kamala now. Can you believe this? Did you ever think? No. You understand? They're I think they're 2%, 1 to 2% of the electorate. And Muslims are less than Jews. So what they did was, this was a ploy to gain Muslims. Not every Muslim hates Jews. I'm not saying that. But Muslims who hate Jews to vote for her. And to get non-Muslims who hate Jews and hate Israel, radical leftists, young leftists to vote for her. That's what this is, but in exchange for what? Our Jewish brothers and sisters are prosperous, and I want to tell you right now, we all love you, we welcome you. The water's warm, come in. You are safe here, and you are equals, and we back you, and we won't let any crap happen to you, just as any other American. You are not a second-class citizen or worse. That's striking. Also, I want to ask you, so a couple questions. How do you think Governor Walz affects Kamala's chances of winning? And what does that tell you that she picked him? What does that tell you about how radical or leftist Kamala would be as president? What does this tell you about how radical or leftist Kamala would be? The guy's pro-illegal immigration rapidly. During COVID, he shut down everything. I'll read my buddy Eric Erickson's info. He's a progressive. He's also not Jewish. He rejected the strategic play with 18. Kamala rejected the strategic play with 18 electoral college votes for a white guy from a safe Democrat state who will not alienate people who hate Jews. Shapiro makes way more sense, but avoiding alienating progressive anti-Semites seemed to be Harris's strategy. Some comments from Twitter sphere. She made clear to Netanyahu that she would turn its back on the Jewish people if she were president. Another one. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz burned through our state's largest budget surplus of $20 billion in less than a year and then raised taxes. That's what progressives do. Walz kept schools closed. In Minnesota, my buddy Eric Erickson writes today, Walz kept schools closed and punitive statewide masking regulations, but allowed mass looting and arson in the Twin Cities before ultimately calling in the National Guard. Remember, he let that police station burn down. And then Kamala, 4 days after that police station burned down by the terrorists, the BLM terrorists, socialists and rioters, 4 days later, Kamala said, I support them 100%, and I want you to donate to their bail fund. And then she posted it and went $46 million in the next several days within a week or so that she raised. And 2 different men came out and killed people. One that shot a woman in the head, or somebody in the head 6 times on the mugger mover there. The jail rail, as my friend from Minneapolis, who's a police officer there, calls it. He also went on, one of their terrorists that she freed raped a woman shortly thereafter, and another one killed another person. So they were allowed to get free. And here we go. Walz issued a unilateral stay-at-home order forcing businesses and public parks to be closed. When residents began disregarding the order, Walz created a hotline for citizens to report their neighbors who were breaking the COVID rule. This is socialism. This is what the Brown Church did when Mao Zedong, in his revolution, they told people to turn people in. People were murdering and ripping apart and beating and spitting on and killing their teachers, who Mao considered elitists. The students rose up in their ignorance by their commander, the Red Commander, and they murdered them with their bare hands, their own teachers. This is who these people are leading us toward. Do you understand this? What do you think about Walz? Oh, here's another thing. Did you know he has stolen valor accusations? Did you hear about this? Walz claims to be a man a military veteran. Turns out when he left, he was a commander. He was about to be a commander. When he left, the guy that took over for him, the commander, says the moment that they were deploying to Iraq, Tim Walz ditched and left. He refused to go fight. He ditched and left as he was about to. Listen, I got some audio of this guy, and he's saying it's stolen valor. This has all been backed up by the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, the biggest paper in the whole state. Here's some of it.
He abandoned us. I mean, what the hell kind of leader does that? I mean, he just, as soon as the shots were fired in Iraq, he turned and ran the other way and hung his hat up and quit.
So you try to get this message out, but Minnesota's largest newspaper checks it out, says it's 100% true, but yet refuses to print.
When I hung the phone up, I said, what the hell is this, North Korea? I was like, well, for Pete's sake, if this guy quit, and if I say I'm not going to do it, I mean, what the hell kind of leadership is that? If a company would say that we're going to deploy to Iraq or somewhere and you're going to be gone for whatever amount of time, and then the foreman just says, no, I'm not going. I mean, what does that say to the 500 people that work in that factory? The state of Minnesota came out after 2018, after this was exposed, and they said, well, he can say that he served as a command sergeant major, but he can't say he's a retired one because he's not.
So he quit the National Guard so he wouldn't get sent off. This letter and every allegation, as you heard, was backed up by the biggest newspaper in the state, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. This article or this letter that was sent, The Truth About Tim Walz, and printed in the Star-Tribune, was signed by Thomas Behrens and Paul Herr. They are the command sergeant major who I believe took over for Walz when he abandoned them just before they went to war. And then Paul Herr is a command sergeant major as well, retired. They're both command sergeant majors retired. They literally did what he was supposed to do in Iraq. Isn't that stunning? And he still says, yeah, I'm a veteran or whatever. He says, I'm a soldier. I'm retired National Guard. Crazy. When it mattered, he fled. So my questions for you are, how do you think Governor Walz affects Kamala's chances of winning in November? How likely is it that she chose Walz over Shapiro because Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania is Jewish? And what does this tell you about how radical or leftist Kamala would be as president? And how do you feel about having an apparently admitted socialist on the ticket with Kamala? And who do you think, or what do you think about Walz's stolen valor accusation as well? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'm telling you, she didn't want a Jew on her ticket. There's no question. And she's going to lose, and this made us all. The Trump campaign said it openly, and I say it openly, and I've said that for weeks, that Josh Shapiro would be a hard one to beat with this loon as the president. But no longer. The moderate that would have won Pennsylvania and stole people's hearts and would have done a better job than Kamala on the ticket has been rejected because he's a Jew. And because he's hella better than Kamala is on that stage. He commands an audience and he connects with the audience. He is dangerous to the Republican Party. This is breathtaking. Her choice, she had it. Possible chance, and I think she blew it. And I know that vice presidential candidates mean practically nothing. But I'm telling you something. This tells you where she's headed. She's heading for socialism. Her guy on the ticket she chose today embraces socialism. I played him embracing it. Wow, huh? Okay. Lines wide open for you to chime in right now. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I've got more audio from the allegations of stolen valor from her candidate, who they're flying the flag of, he's a military veteran, and more about how this man cracked down and hurt the people of his state, but let the terrorists, murderers, and people who hate cops and defund. By the way, he supports defunding the cops. He supported that. I mean, this guy is everything that most people that are moderate are not. The wine moms may not mind him, but they will be ruined in the suburbs, like he ruined the suburbs and the city of Minneapolis. It is a hellscape compared to when I was there. It is sad. It is angering. I am close with current St. Paul police officers, and I am friends with former Minneapolis police officers. This man has destroyed things, and his party has destroyed things. Everything that most families want, African-American, Democrat, white, Republican, everything they want, this guy's against. You get nothing if you're a law-abider, but if you are a BLM terrorist burning down police stations, and if you support defunding police stations, and you're an anti-Semite, you're fine. Crazy. God help us. All right, 800-288-WBAP. Next, another piece of audio from the stolen valor allegations of Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz. Next.
There's lots of lots of cards coming in the mail, for him to be elected. They said right on there he's a retired command sergeant major, just tooting his own horn, just hanging on the coattails of people that actually are command sergeant majors that went through all the process and put all the time in. It's stolen valor is really what it is. I don't know of anybody else that's done what he's done. The bottom line in all of this is gut-wrenching and sad to explain. When the nation called, he quit. If he would have went to Iraq, he'd still be hiding under his desk over there, because that's just the cowardice that I seen portrayed with him.
That's the guy who took over for Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, was supposed to be headed to Iraq. He left before they were deployed, and he and another guy who took over for that same battalion or that regiment or whatever it's called, they both took over for him, and they both said that publicly, and in fact, it was confirmed by the state's biggest newspaper that he did. He left. So, question, that's Tim Walz, Minnesota governor, and her Kamala's VP pick. He is also super progressive. After plans were laid out, my friend Eric Erickson wrote, for Minnesota bars and restaurants to reopen following the pandemic shutdowns, churches were indefinitely banned from gatherings of more than 10 people. It wasn't until the Catholics and Lutherans literally sent a letter to Governor Walz saying, we're going to know your order. You can come arrest us. The Catholic Church, and I went to, before I became a Baptist, if you will, Southern Baptist, I went to the beautiful, both the Basilicas of St. Paul and the Basilicas of Minneapolis. They are amazing. And they said, and they ain't no conservatives, most of them. They said, we are going to have church, and you can come arrest us. Same thing with the Lutherans. And there's a lot of Lutherans in Minnesota. I know. I lived there. Nothing wrong with any of these folks. I'm just telling you what's going on there. I lived there for 2 years. And I also lived for a year and a half in nearby, 90 miles to the west, right over the Wisconsin border, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, for another radio gig. Jeannie in Collinsville, you are on WBAP.
Well, I think, this is just my lame duck opinion, but I think Kamala has picked somebody that it's almost like a Hail Mary for it's do or die. This is who I want. We're going to do it. She's praying that the majority of the United States doesn't want Trump. But the thing that she did, Trump just won. In my opinion, Trump just won.
I think she really, really helps the Trump ticket. I really do. I think it's stunning. And they literally openly have said they're so happy. They literally were so happy. They are so happy. They said that today openly on the record.
They made us so happy.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Chris.
Thank you. Great call. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Here's a brand new, so critical. Listen to this. Brand new montage. This is from CNBC and some other people that are not Republicans, that are not conservatives, in fact, are not friends of Trump. They said this on CNBC this morning. What's it? Craig Kramer, whatever his name is. He does not like Trump. But listen to what he said today, along with other economic experts and business experts.
If you're in the stock market, if you care about your paycheck, you go with Trump. If that's what you do.
Everything that has been in this honeymoon period might seem kind of silly compared to when people are looking at their 401ks, or when they're going to start looking at gas prices, or they're looking at what it costs at the grocery store. We might be entering that phase that the Trump campaign has been waiting for.
Well, the pick of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz for VP today, he in his first year he blew $20 billion as in BN in the budget of the state, and then raised taxes after that. So you get ready for more of this insanity. It's breathtaking. It is breathtaking. Hey, coming up next, I cannot wait to do this. Our next guest fits perfectly with that. Steve Moore who was a President Donald J. Trump economic advisor, is on the show next. He is also a heritage economist and Wall Street Journal author and the Club for Growth founder. He is also the head of another fantastic group. He is the head of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. He is next on the Chris Kroc Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.